Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third Peace Intention experiment. Now I'm just getting myself into view. I'm really excited to have you people coming back because we all recognize we have a lot more work to do. The fighting still goes on, the killing still goes on, the children are dying, the children don't have enough water, heat, electricity, even children in incubators are dying because they don't have electricity. So today I thought we should do what I oftentimes tell students in my master classes to do, which is to take baby steps. Let's break down our peace intention so that we focus on specific things we need to have happen right away. And let's see if we can make a shift. We're going to be running these regularly, and I've even been meeting with people from other countries who want to involve their audiences as well in our peace intention experiments. I'm also going to let you know what's happened. As I've mentioned to any of you who've been here in our earlier weeks, there is a mirror effect that occurs with peace intention experiments. We don't just affect the target, we affect the participants. And we see that they receive something as the peace intention experiment is going on. They experience big changes, essentially a mystical state. And I'll read to you some of what's been happening so far. They also experience more peace in all kinds of areas of their life. They talk about getting along better with their children, or their estranged partner, or their bosses and coworkers. They talk about being more in love with everyone they come in contact with. They become more trusting. And about half say they're more in love with people who are not like them. Recognize how important that is. All of us have a network of friends and relations. If we are more peaceful, and that peace affects everyone we come in contact with, so that they are more peaceful, and that's what happens to many of the participants. They talk about how suddenly a child of theirs who hadn't spoken to them for some years, an adult child of theirs, suddenly calls out of nowhere and is checking up on them all the time. Or a parent who disowned them suddenly comes back into their lives. So again, just imagine the ripple effect of this. If all of us are connected to 30 people in our lives, or even less, that effect is going to radiate down that social network so that we've had 26,000 people taking part in the first two Israeli-Gazan peace intention experiments. And if they all have 10 friends, let's say 10 relations, suddenly we have 260,000 people who are affected, and so on and so forth. And if it's much more than that, we're already affecting close to 1 million people. So let me read you some of what has happened thus far in the lives of the participants. So we're going to be working on our target very hard this time, taking baby steps. But this is what's been happening thus far. We've heard that about a quarter of people feel extraordinary effects while taking part. They cry or sob, they feel heat and tingling through their bodies. About a third say they experience intense visualizations, and more than half say they're part of a higher network. People say things like this, and by the way, these are all surveys responses. If you're taking part, I'm really grateful if you would simply answer the very quick survey we have, and we're putting the survey URL in the chat of YouTube so you can take part. And that is part of my research as well, because it tells me what's happened to you. People say, one person said, I felt the existence of another realm. Somebody else, I immediately felt a powerful field. And remember, they're participating just like you on your separate computer. I felt a very strong emotional surge. I experienced goosebumps throughout my body. I cried all the way through to my surprise. I noticed a heightened sense of connection, love, and oneness. I felt my heart expand across the world and beyond as it never has before. We've found that about half are more optimistic that world peace is achievable, more than half. And nearly half felt more peaceful than usual. Someone said 2 days after the first intention, I had a moment I found difficult to put into words. I arrived at work like I normally do, but was suddenly overwhelmed with a feeling of love and compassion, and a wonderful sense of happiness and love was all around me. I felt like I was able to send my love and loving energy to the world. This lasted for several hours and was total bliss. Nearly two-thirds felt their relationships had improved. About a third said they felt more love for their loved ones. But the greatest change, as always, was nearly half felt more love for everyone they come in contact with, including their relationships with strangers. More than a quarter felt the experience made them more tolerant of people not like them. One woman made up with her youngest sister in New Zealand. They had fallen out over their differences over COVID, one side wanting vaccination, the other side not. I see now she was acting from a place of fear, says my respondent, and I understand that now with compassion. And even though another one said there's a level of political disagreement among her family in and out of Israel, I notice I'm more committed to sending them love and joy and not trying to change their minds. I'm more accepting of their choices as a path in life, even if they are very different from mine. That is a theme that runs through all of these peace intention experiments. That's the extraordinary thing of it. I find that people start becoming more tolerant of everyone. Someone said they were not only closer to their boss, but their boss was really cheerful and happy this week, even though his business is going out of business and he has a lot of serious health problems. I've known him for years and he's never behaved that way before. That's that ripple effect going out. I've had a bad relationship with my dad. Now it's like a new birth and it feels so homey. My son and I are communicating more. He replies almost immediately to messages, whereas before it could be days or not at all. My partner and I have been living in the same house, but barely communicating. However, since the experiment, we've been amicable and able to hold a civil discussion, which is amazing. People have become more tolerant of other points of view. I'm more tolerant and don't react when someone's harsh or insulting to me. I try to become less judgmental, listen more, and be more present. People have experienced heightened senses. Nearly half say they're more loving toward themselves. Things have happened in their lives they didn't expect, One got a mortgage she didn't expect she was going to. She had the best sleep of her life after the first experiment. She won a $50 voucher even that same day. People are experiencing healings. About a third of the audience said they had some sort of mental or physical improvement or full healings in their conditions. One person said their blood glucose levels are better controlled. That's a type 1 diabetic. Someone said a rewiring of his or her brain was occurring and is still occurring. Somebody has lost all kinds of pain in their right hip and lower back, even without doing daily stretching. Starting to see improvements in having been in a deep depression. And emotions are easier to accept and go through me. I feel them and move on. That kind of tolerance, that kind of standing back in emotions, those kinds of improvements in their own lives happen again and again and again. And these big changes carry on, in many instances, for years. One person wrote in, after the first intention experiment I participated in, the Ukraine-Russia one, I had profound life changes that gradually happened. Relationships that I thought were destroyed were revived and flourished. I am closer than ever before to my youngest. Everything I visualized about relationships manifested and continued to do so. And in fact, one person who was involved with my Jerusalem Peace Intention experiment in 2017, involving both Arabs and Israeli Jews intending for peace, said, peace has been with me since the peace intention we did in 2017. That intention profoundly changed me. Now, this may feel like, hey, what about the target? But the point isn't the action, although we are focusing on that. We want something like that to happen, but it's reaction, a ripple effect of peace in the hearts of participants that eventually could extend out to the entire world. So let's get going on this peace experiment, and I'm going to try playing a little music too. So we're going to take baby steps, as I mentioned. We're going to focus on hostages, on having a safe corridor for all Gazan civilians, that aid, electricity, and water immediately be available to Gazans, and that there be immediate end to killings of all civilians. So let's get comfortable. And as I say, I'm going to try playing a little bit of music too with this. So get comfortable. Let's all take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. A deep breath in, a deep breath out. A deep breath in. And now, on the exhalation, I'd like you to hold the following intention. Our intention is that all hostages be immediately released without harm, that a safe corridor for all Gazan civilians be immediately opened, that aid, electricity, and water be immediately available to Gazans, and that there be an immediate end to killings of any and all civilians. So let's hold that intention. Bring it down to your hearts, send it out, and as you're doing so, allow your mind, using all 5 senses, to imagine those things happening, the hostages being freed, without harm, the safe corridor for Gazans being created, the aid, water, and electricity being available to those who stay, the civilians we're talking about, and that there be an immediate end to all killings of all types of civilians. Let's hold that, and I'm going to try playing a little music this time. Keep focused on that intention. And now we've turned off the music so you can focus on all of those visualizations and stay in this meditative state together. Stay focused. Our intention is that all hostages be immediately released without harm, that a safe corridor for all Gazan civilians be immediately opened, that aid, electricity, and water be immediately available to Gazans, and that there be an immediate end to killings of any and all civilians. Just keep holding that and allow yourself to visualize how that will manifest. Okay, everybody, let go of that intention. Trust the process. In your own time, come back onto this broadcast. And in your own time, if you like, please write in the chat what you visualized or how you're feeling, or both. Are you feeling more peaceful? Are you feeling more optimistic? What are you feeling? And what did you see? Write it down. One of our correspondents said, why not go for a ceasefire? And the reason I didn't is that we've been asking for a ceasefire in the last two intentions. And as I demonstrate in my courses, and what really works for many of my intention students is to break down your intentions. So of course, we will connect again and we will focus on a ceasefire. But right now, what we want to do is keep the civilians safe, free the Israeli hostages, keep the Gazan civilians safe, make sure that they have water, aid, electricity, give them a safe corridor out of that killing field, and talk about and focus on an end to deaths of all civilians on either side. So let's focus on that in our hearts this week. If you have not filled out a survey thus far, please note we have put the survey URL in the chat. It only takes a few minutes. I'm going to ask you over the coming week or so to just observe what's happened in your life too, because you are part of the solution, not just as an intender, but as an ambassador for peace in your own life, with the ripple effect that could cause. As I say, thus far, with these three intention experiments, we could create peace in over 1 million people. And so it will happen. And so it will continue to happen, reaching more and more and more people. So peace in your heart, peace in your life will also create peace on the planet. So watch what's happening in your own life. Are you becoming more tolerant after this experience? Are you becoming more loving in your life and with people who are not like you? As I mentioned in earlier broadcasts, this all has to do with the vagus nerve. When we come together with an altruistic purpose, it activates the connection and safety portion of that longest nerve of the body, which ordinarily just focuses on fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. When the safety and connection portion of the vagus nerve is connected, it increases the release of what is called the love hormone, oxytocin. And that release makes us about 50% more trusting of people not like us. Imagine if 1 million people had much more oxytocin, what would happen in their lives? So let's keep it going, both for our targets, but also our participants. It's not just the action, it's the reaction in everybody's heart. Thank you so much for participating in this intention. I know there have been loads and loads and loads of wonderful comments. We'll be carrying out more regularly. So if you're not on my list, please join so you can find out when the next peace intention experiment is, and continue to watch peace grow in your heart. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.